been in charge for 11 games. He's won 10 of them, and in the Premier League era, only Pep Guardiola can better that as he started. And Pep, not surprisingly, won at 11 out of 11. But that's some going, isn't it, to hit the ground running?
It is, and it was a test for them today. They weren't at their best, but it was all about, after an international break, like we've said on numerous occasions, getting back into work, getting on the training ground and getting the right result. And it'll be interesting to speak to some of the players, but conditions looked a lot worse, particularly in the second half. You could see by the flight of the ball, so the quality depleted a little bit in the second half, but the main thing is that they adapted to the conditions and got over the line, really. So I've got no qualms at all about how they played. It was the result in the end that was the most telling thing, and the 3 points to keep them top after City go and win in the last minute was very, very important. And it just puts a little bit of daylight now between themselves and Arsenal, who, of course, they play next week away from home. Yeah,
what a game. The big games just keep coming. Yeah. And the fact that Arne Slot keeps telling us himself there's a lot more to come from his team, the more his methods get across, and yet they're winning when they're not firing on all cylinders and they're top of the league.
Yeah, I think today, without being, a standout performance, I don't think they were ever in too much doubt. They had gears to go through, and they did, and they used that. But look, he doesn't feel like the kind of guy who would do an interview and make things up. He does feel confident that the best is yet to come from his team. He's obviously very pleased with what they're doing, and results-wise, it's very important, especially at a club like Liverpool. You need to win, you need to get everyone on side. He's certainly done that. He's done the hard work to get his foot in the door, and then I think he's really looking forward to stamping his authority on the team now. Yeah,
from a coach's point of view, when you're trying to get some tweaks and new methods over, you have to be winning at the same time at a club like Liverpool, don't you?
Yeah, but it helps to buy in with everybody, the fans and the players, because when you're trying to bring slightly new ideas, I think it's the game that he would have learnt the most about his squad so far, because I think they were tested in different ways. In the first half, particularly, Chelsea felt like they could play through them quite a lot, through the pressure of Liverpool. I think they were getting that slightly wrong or slightly off. Maybe it was a case of after international break when you're not quite at it and you leave spaces and they play through, and Chelsea are a good team. And I never felt like Liverpool had a real control of the game in terms of, where I think their best moments came generally when they kind of went longer and then they got the second ball, and then they've got game changers higher up the pitch. So in the quest to make them this sort of possession, slightly move towards more possession, they got tested today, and I think they'll probably learn, and he will learn a lot from that.
And as Frank said at half-time, it's interesting, not just today, that they have done that at times when they've needed to under Arne Slot.
Yeah, and I thought they were better doing that today. Whenever they went long, because in the first half, Chelsea almost went man-to-man for them and pushed right up the pitch. Whenever they went to Salah direct from Kevin Keller in goal, he's so strong, he normally keeps the ball, and suddenly they've got possession 80 yards further up the pitch. And I think, horses for courses, Chelsea pressed them today, you go long. If people drop off, that's when you start to play. And there's no set way of playing football. You play what the opposition do, and if the opposition make it hard for you, you go over the top of them. And I thought Liverpool adapted to the conditions and to the opposition really well today. As I said, it was very close. The two crosses at the end of the game, one from Neto, and then they had one from the Cole Palmer free kick. It showed you it was just millimetres really that kept them in the game, but they just found a way to get over the line today, and it was equally as important as going out and winning 3-0 against different opposition, because it was a hard game. Chelsea are a good side, aren't they? And they're only going to get better the more experienced their players become.
Is that a skill in itself, Frank, sometimes to mix it up like that in a game and realise?
Yeah, for sure. And I think Liverpool have always been good at that. And when you know your players and you can hit Mo Salah or Núñez, when he does it well, he can hold it up. At times he can be erratic on that side of his game. But absolutely, I'd say it's the context of the game. A team want to come and pressure. You've got strong players, quick players at the top end of the pitch. Then I think there's an understanding that you miss the pressure. And I think it always works with the Liverpool crowd. I worked up in Liverpool with Everton as well. Sometimes they want to see that. If it's there, play, be physical, catch up with the play and show your energy, which Liverpool do have as well in midfield. So I think it's certainly more than just a good alternative. I think it's part of the strategy.
Yeah, I think especially with the way Chelsea press, it leaves big gaps. Talk about Kelleher, put it into Salah. It's not like he's putting it into a channel for him to contest a header. There's so many yards in front of Mo Salah with the big press from Chelsea that Kelleher can afford to drop it 30 yards before him and allow him to really pin his fullback. And that's a real strength of Mo Salah, and he proved it over and over again. So I thought it was really clever from Liverpool.
OK, Joe. Well, Maka said he wanted to speak to one of the Liverpool players. We're going to do exactly that and speak to the match winner, Curtis Jones, live at Anfield. Does that sound good, Curtis? Match winner at Anfield against Chelsea?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Very well done. I mean, everyone said this was your biggest test today. How does that feel to come through it?
Yeah, I feel great. I feel great. You know, I played well. I was involved a lot. But the most important thing, you know, we came away with all 3 points.
And talk us through the goal, because the boys in here saying the first touch they were really impressed with.
Was it a good touch? I can't even remember actually.
Tell us now.
I've just come inside and just know that Mo will always, you know, he'll always play the ball there, you know, have a run. And I thought it was important. At first I thought I was going to go with, you know, one touch, but yeah, it was a good first touch there, as I can see. And then I'm happy that I scored.
Curtis, it's Mac. Firstly, two questions really. Congratulations on a fantastic week. Have you had much sleep?
Yeah, I've had loads actually. Did you not see?
No, I know. And secondly, how were the conditions today, particularly in the second half? Because it looked quite windy, really. Considering Anfield, you know, with the 4 sides of the stadium is quite condensed in there.
I didn't really feel anything actually.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with joy, and I thought about the game, if I'm honest.
And tell us about the week you've had. And we saw your celebration there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as everybody knows, my little girl was born. So yes, you know, you can see now I've got a smile on my face. It's the best feeling ever. It's changed me. Yeah, became a dad. I'm excited, and I'm happy that I played well there. And the goal was for her, of course.
Brilliant. And tell us about life under Arne Slot. We've just been talking about how you mixed up the tactics there today to get over the line and get the result.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it loads. The whole team as well there, you know, as you can see, we play more free, we're more calm on the ball. The tactics and that are great as well. I just feel that it suits me a lot more. I can get around the box more, I can play more free. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it.
Well, you got in the box today, you enjoyed it. What a great week for you. Very well done, Curtis.
Thank you very much, guys.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you. Take care.
That is Curtis Jones, the match winner, live at Anfield. His goal, of course, coming in the second half, after Liverpool had taken the lead in the first half with a penalty everybody thinks was a straightforward decision.
Yeah, and he was involved again, Curtis Jones. Mo Salah and Curtis Jones were involved in 2 goals. It was just slightly unfortunate. Salah, of course, takes the shot on, it falls, and Cole just gets his tackle wrong, doesn't he? That's all it is. It's millimetres, really. He puts his foot in and he just avoids the ball. And
that's more an example of what we're talking about, Liverpool, going a little bit more direct in the build-up to it, Frank.
Yeah, and as you've said, there's nothing wrong with that. What I like about Curtis, though, he's talking about his game. So he's got great quality on the ball, he wants to receive the ball, he's got big energy as well. It's always been what's needed in a modern day Liverpool midfield play. You know them for energy, so when the ball goes long, you better have the energy and the capacity to arrive in the box. And then all of a sudden you're winning the penalty for your team, and the second half he's arriving to score the winning goal. So I think it's adding to his game, it's something he could probably do more of, become a complete midfielder and score more goals and be involved in those situations.
Mo Salah used the word smashed home the penalty here.
Yeah, he did. There's no finesse about that. He's obviously picked his side. He scored some big penalties. I think I was reading a few stats. He's in the late 20s now. They're big moments in big football matches to score penalties. You know, in my experiences, obviously seeing you do it through the years, Frank, people think it's easy. It's not. It's a big moment, a lot resting on it, and to step up and score for your team when everyone's relying on you, all the hard work that's put into winning a penalty, incredible effort.
There he is, joint 9th in that. Did you ever save any Franks down the years?
He did. Did he ask you to ask?
That's one of my best ever saves.
He did try me.
That's one of the best ever saves.
One also flew past him. But
I didn't prime him, don't bite. I didn't say
what
nothing.
have you done?
I didn't say anything.
You just had the little glint in your eye. We said, ask Frank.
I made the mistake. I had a conversation with Joe the week preceding. I saw you somewhere in a bar. Another story.
That wasn't me, lads.
Penalties. And I divulged too much. And then 1 week later, I had one against him.
You nearly knocked my arm off, though. That was one of my best ones. That.
Can you tell me that story when we finish?
That'll be better.
1-1. You said Neto came on instantly at half-time. Nicholas Jackson, again, good use here. Not given on field. Had a look at it. Right decision come to.
Yeah, great in the end to get that decision right. But I think for Chelsea, this was the good stuff that Chelsea did. They ended up in these positions where they head up, playing forward through midfield a lot. And then you've got to penetrate the line, which I think Jackson has shown is one of his big strengths, that he can run behind defenders. The impressive thing for me here is, obviously we'll see it's onside, but is that he makes the movement, he makes a slightly diagonal run, and at the time of the pass we know he's onside. But this, there it is, and we'll see that obviously. But the quickness of how he gets it out of his feet and runs when he gets the other side. You've got Virgil van Dijk coming back at you. You've got Robertson trying to, and he gets it away. Nice quick touches and a really smart finish at the near post. And that's maybe where people would criticise Jackson last year. Too many chances to score a certain amount of goals, but big moment for him, big game, gets his chance, great finish.
And that made it 1-1, and of course we've seen Curtis Jones's goal at Anfield, where Patrick Berger is waiting to speak to us again, who is still the last player to score a hat-trick in this fixture, so you've still got that record, Paddy. What did you make of that today?
Yeah, well, not the best game really, to be fair, but sometimes you need to win ugly, and that's what Liverpool did today. You know, they have 3 points, top of the table, so you know, happy, very happy. Yeah,
and that's a good sign under Arne Slot moving forward. There's still lots more to come, yet they're still top of the table.
I mean, it is a long season, and there are no easy games in Premier League. But if someone would tell the manager that, you know, he would be top of the table after this game, then he would take it any time. So yeah, I think, you know, we can be happy. As I said, you know, not the best game, but 3 points in the bag, and they can move on.
Paddy, what was the atmosphere like, particularly at the latter end of the game? Because it seemed to be quite nervous at the end.
I was sitting inside. It was too cold outside.
Oh, forget it then. What was the tea like inside then? Was it a nice cup of tea?
Beautiful. 2 sugars and milk.
Oh dear. And in terms of Arne Slot's life at Liverpool, I mean, as I just said, I think in his first 11 games, only Pep can better that when he first came to England.
I mean, listen, you know, he couldn't start for better start, obviously. But as I said, it is a long season, and, you know, they're going to judge him at the end of the season. You know, they're playing well. You know, they're winning games, getting points. There's so many competitions to play in. So far, so good. But let's wait till the end of the season.
Yeah, and the squad, I mean, Maka made that point earlier on. In comes Curtis Jones, gets the winner. Diaz started on the bench as well. Great option to come on. It seems pretty seamless at the moment.
The beginning of the season, I felt that, you know, he likes to play the same team every single game, you know, the starting 11. But today he changed a few players. You know, I think, you know, he feels that, you know, there's so many games coming up, and then he has to start to rotate the players, you know, keep the players happy. And I feel that, you know, if they can keep all the players fit, no suspensions, then there is no reason why they couldn't carry on as they have done so far.
Paddy, great to see you again today. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
indeed.
Paddy.
Cheers, lads. All the best.
Right.
That is Patrick Berger at Anfield. Here is the Chelsea boss, Enzo Maresca.
Well, Enzo, it's defeat, but do you feel like your team have shown something in defeat today? Did you like the performance?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we don't like to lose. We don't like to draw points, but if you have to choose the way, probably this is the way that you want to draw points. Came here in this stadium against this team. I really like the performance of the team. I think probably we deserve something more, but anyway, the performance was good.
Yeah, I mean, listen to your interviews in the week where you said you were going to come here and play like a big team. You wouldn't sit back and counter. Did that particularly please you? Like, you played like a big team. You controlled a lot of the football match.
Yeah, I think we controlled most of the game. We had chances, we had possession, and we had possession in their half. Doesn't happen many times that you see Liverpool in their side for a long time. And this is the reason why I said that we don't like to draw points, we don't like to lose, but if we have to choose, probably this is the way. And overall, the team came here brave, you know, on the ball and off the ball, and I think this is the right way.
So does it still feel like a big step today, a step forward?
Yeah, but I said before the game, I don't think today game define where we are. I think today game, we try to prepare the game in the best way, on the ball and off the ball. I think work quite well, and then sometimes also you have to take you know, the moment, the chance. But overall, I'm very proud of the players.
Tactically, what gave you control? They seem to really struggle to build up, especially in the first half.
Yeah, I think off the ball we were, as we said since we started, we were man-to-man, we were aggressive. The defenders, they were man-to-man against their striker, their attacker, and on the ball I think we just adjust, make some details, some small things that works quite well. But as I said, overall I think we deserve something more, but we important that we have a good feeling.
When you say you feel like you deserve something more, there are a lot of big decisions for the officials to make today. Are you satisfied that they got them right, that the officials haven't decided this football match?
to be honest, I didn't see nothing in terms of decision from the referee. The only thing I can say that sometimes in this stadium, some decision is also for the noise of the crowd. But overall, I think the people enjoy the game, and we 8 drop points, we 8 lose. But as I said, if we need to choose a way, probably this is the right way.
So, just in terms of what you say there, the effect of the stadium, Liverpool had like an appeal for a penalty. There was a couple of big decisions, a couple of roars, and then the penalty comes. So, do you think there's almost like wave after wave, and that impacts the ref?
This is a question for the ref. The only thing I can say, as I said, that the referee also they are there to make some decisions. Sometimes they are right, sometimes they are wrong. But like the mine, like yours, like everyone. But sometimes you have the feeling from outside that some decision is because of the noise. But overall, I think they were okay.
The timing of the winning goal really hurt. You had 3 players ready to come on, and then before they can get on the pitch, you're back behind.
Yeah. Has been probably in that moment, if we don't concede, probably I think the game could be a different kind of game in terms of results. But we concede, and the team doesn't change nothing, keep it going, and we had chances until the end.
And just lastly on that, you basically made 4 subs by around the 50th minute because Sancho came off at half-time. Any or all of those predetermined? I guess it would be with James and Lavia coming off.
Yeah, we're already for Romeo and for Reece, for both. The idea was to play them 45 minutes, 1 hour, no more than that.
Okay. And the other 2 are tactical. Sancho tactical.
Yeah, both.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Enzo.
Well, he really likes the performance, he says. They were brave, and in the cold light of day, like I said to you, no points, but he'll take a lot from it, he thinks, today.
Yeah, and I think bravery is a big plus to go into a game of that stature when they're a young squad. In terms of the build and control and understand, I don't think at the top end of the pitch they created that many big chances, but in terms of the feeling of having some control there is a big thing for him, because when you're trying to move towards this possession-based game, which he is, I think that he can speak to the players after that game and go, see, you can control, the setup is good, the things I'm trying to do are good, and they'll buy into that. The next thing, as I say, is just being that little bit more dynamic in the big moments in big games. But to be fair, Liverpool have got players that have done it for quite a few seasons. Generally, we talk about Mo Salah. You understand that he can do this all the time. So you're trying to develop Madueke, you're trying to get Neto into the team and feel comfortable in the team. Cole Palmer, we know, can do it, but okay, a big game that wasn't maybe his today. So I think it's normal that he comes out and speaks as he did. He'll be disappointed that they lost, but there were some good signs.
Yeah, and does that help from the player's point of view, believe what the manager's saying when, oh no, they haven't got any points, he's saying they've had control of a game at Anfield?
Yeah, I'm a bit split. I get it. I get that tactically you've got to interview and work on the whole season, and he's had a good start to his Chelsea career. He's turned around a slightly negative narrative around the club, but ultimately, you know, he's lost the game, and that's the most important thing when it comes to the big games. You know, Chelsea aren't a small club; they're a big club with big investment. And if that's, you know, he's a process kind of guy, and that's what he's being backed to do, but it just doesn't feel like that's what's going on at Chelsea. So if he's feeling comfortable and confident enough to come out and speak like that, then he must feel confident and be having good conversations with the people above him, because you don't get that much time at these kind of places. So no, I think it's positive. I'm not criticising him for what he's saying. I just think it's interesting for how Chelsea work. But he seems very secure and very sure in what he's doing, regardless of what's going on around him.
They've got a very young squad, haven't they?
The youngest starting 11 in the Premier League.
And I think that's a plus point. They played well today. They will get better. But as Joe rightly said, they have to get better quickly, unfortunately, because that's just the business we're in, and people have been sacked before him for not getting the job done. So yes, he's trusting the process. They play really well. They play through the pitch. They need to score more goals, of course, and be more dynamic in the top half. How long has he got? We don't know, but you know, he's a confident man. He was confident at Leicester. He played the right way, but in the end, whether it's now or next year or the year after, he has to deliver trophies, because the amount of investment demands that. And if they don't see it, they'll change him, because they're ruthless at that club. So, yeah, nice start, but they've lost to Liverpool, they've lost to City this year. I mean, in the end, £4 or £5 billion worth of investment, they don't want to be losing to those teams, because they're all the teams who were going to be above them at the latter part of the season.
Yeah, and I think the reality of the game is as well, I agree with Joe to an extent, he's saying something here he wants the public to hear and the players to hear. I understand a slight positive spin, but Liverpool were not at their best today. And Liverpool, particularly in that first half, it had the feeling of a game, they're slightly off it. You didn't feel that Liverpool, sometimes you go to Anfield, they don't give you a breath. The first 10 minutes you feel them, and that was never there today. So I think as much as you say I'm quite happy with that, you also, in reflection, will say, well, they want, so that was an opportunity to come here and get something, and they haven't done that. So is it down to immaturity of a young developing squad? Potentially managers trying to come in and lay down these things. But when you do fall short, the reality is, OK, there's a little bit more pressure now that we have to get results. They've lost 2 games against big teams. They've drawn a couple of games. So he'll want to get those results. We talked about results for Arne Slot and what it does. He'll want to make sure that that kicks in.
And you're an outsider looking in now, but do you get a feeling that he will be given a little bit more time? There is a little bit more stability.
Yeah, I think there's an air of positivity in-house and outside, and I think I've felt in the last 2 years I've been over to Stamford Bridge to watch some games, and there's been a different feeling, transition, and fans are used to seeing teams win generally for the last 15, 20 years very regularly, not seeing it, so there's an element of frustration. I think now we're on the turning point of that as a feeling. So I think the support maybe of the club is there, and there's a positive atmosphere and positive words and an idea that we're going in this direction. So I think that's a good thing for him. I think in terms of his timing of coming into the job, I mentioned before, they have a little bit of stability. And then he will need time to work. All managers will tell you that, but he certainly will need that. So again, come back to results will be the catalyst for that.
Yeah, and that's your point, isn't it? He can have time, but if he's not winning, he won't get it.
And if he's 5th, it's fine, and if he's 15th, it's not fine. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, it's black and white, isn't it? They've spent a lot on players. You can see that must stop now. You know, you can't bring in 10 at the end of this season and let 7 go out the door. That has to stop, and we think it will. But now it's up to the manager to work with them, and it's up to the players to get the best out of them and climb the table and try and be successful.
Well, Arne, you said this week that on league table it looked like being the hardest game yet. Did it prove to be the hardest game yet?
I think many of our games were hard, but this one might have been the hardest maybe because of the amount of quality players they have and also the structure they play in. So it was we had to fight really hard to bring this over the line, that's clear.
And your thoughts, what's your assessment of your team's performance?
I think what we did really well is we defended so strong and with the whole team, so there was incredible work rate. And the game became difficult for us because there were a few decisions, at least in my opinion, that didn't went for us. So I think the most crucial one was the one where we thought we got the penalty just before half-time, and then to go up for a 2-0 lead, it makes a massive difference instead of going 1-0 into half-time and then conceding a few minutes after half-time. But we stepped up again, scored the goal, and then in the end it was a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, and that's what we did really well.
It was an intense game. It was a scrap. It was a fight at times. Are you pleased to see that side of your team come out?
Yeah, I've seen this a lot already, but the better the teams you face, the more you need it. I think you know better than me, but if you play in the Premier League, there are so many good teams, so many good players. So if you want to win, then at least you need a fight, and then hopefully the individuals can make the difference. And that's also what you saw today. I think we scored some very nice goals, and we had more than a few chances to score another one. And defended really well, which is necessary if you play against the great individuals they have.
How hard is it, we saw it against Forest, I guess, to pick that momentum up, and how important is it when you come off the back of these internationals?
It definitely helps if you play against Chelsea. I think that's a big game. Everybody feels this. The fans felt it, and we felt it that the fans felt it because I think they were really there for us today. And the players, as a player, you always favor to play the big games. You're always looking forward to that. But in the end, it's the same amount of points that you can take if you play Nottingham Forest. But yeah, the game also went in a way that it was intense, and we showed up. That was the most important thing.
Thanks, Arne. Thank you.
Yeah, as you said, Maka, they did show up, and they had to show different qualities to the free-flowing style we talked about before the game that Arne Slot would want.
Yeah, and they came up against opposition in Chelsea today, who they faced last year, and they lost to Atalanta. They surprised them last year in the Europa League, went man-to-man, and they beat them quite comfortably at Anfield. So they have played against that. And, you know, as Joe rightly mentioned before, you know, in the end, it's up to the goalkeeper. His passing was excellent out of the press into Salah, which helped them. So it's just about adapting to the opposition. like it is when you have to adapt to the different conditions. You have to play. If it's windy, you just knock it long. If you can play at the time, play through the pitch. And that will be something that he will take heart on, because a lot of the players got the job. They managed the game at the end when they became under a little bit of pressure. And the 3 points was taken. You move on, as I said before. Now they've got a Champions League game. They've got Arsenal away next week, which will be a completely different type of game, away from home against an Arsenal side that will want to bounce back. So the fact that they have got a cushion, we are talking in glowing terms about Liverpool, will certainly help them confidence-wise going into the proximate games.
Let's have a look at their next 10 fixtures, because you were saying, let's not get too carried away, even though they've done well, because this is a test. Isn't it?
Very
you mentioned
much so.
the Arsenal game and Leipzig, but look what else is coming up in that run. Xavi Alonso's return to Anfield is one, Real Madrid is another, and of course the Manchester City game, where we'll all be there on the 1st of December, stands out. I mean, we'll know a lot more by the beginning of December, you feel, looking at that run?
Yeah, you will. And I think fair play to Arne Slot. He's not getting ahead of himself.
No.
He speaks, I think he understands that. He understands the run that they've had so far, understands how tough it's going to be for them moving forward. But he's building from good foundations. He's coming from a good place. I think the little tweaks he might make, looking at today, he's focused on the positives there post-game. And that's some of the positives he speaks about are the most important things in football. When you have to defend and you're not at your best, it's hugely important. When you have to be clinical and take your moments, you have to take them. So Liverpool have done that. But over that course of games, there are going to be many more tests.
But they have got what he's always had as a manager, and you look at his record, is that this defensive foundation. 3 goals conceded. The next best is Forest with 6.
Yeah, and I think in terms of learning about your team, you talked about Maresca at Chelsea. I think Arne Slot, as tactically they'd have been both set up this week, and in the few days they've had since the international break, I think Arne Slot would have sat back and thought, I've not necessarily had to teach these guys how to take control of the game or deal with the game like they did, and especially in those last 20 minutes. And that will give him such a warm, strong feeling inside, thinking, he probably could sit back and think, Virgil van Dijk's going to take care of this. Mo Salah knows what to do in this position. I can tactically prepare these guys, young men. I can give them as much information as I possibly can. Move this way when the press and all these sorts of conversations. But Liverpool showed a really steely way of winning that game. Even Curtis Jones, you look at him, a young player. He's not a young player. He's someone who's come through Liverpool. I think he was a really grown-up performance for him today, and a winner's performance. And I think Arne Slot will sit back and after that game today and think, maybe I haven't necessarily had to do that much tactically. My team are ready. They're up for it.
The thing about those games is that they will take care of themselves, won't they? Arsenal away, you don't have to say anything. If they win in the Champions League midweek, albeit a difficult game in Germany, of course, they'll have 9 points, three wins out of 3. The Leverkusen and the Real Madrid home games then become less important. Of course, they want to win, but they become less important. And then you can concentrate on the Arsenal game, the Brighton at home. Again, the League Cup, he's going to have to rotate the team a lot. And if they get knocked out of that, they get knocked out of that. It won't be, even though they're the holders, it won't be a huge problem for them. You expect Brighton to change their team around. But as it drives onto the Manchester City game in December, that's when it'll start getting interesting, because, they could be away from a lot of the teams then. It could be just them and City clear, you never know. But if they go and win at Arsenal, that'll send shockwaves, really, because they'll fly way clear of them as well. So it just builds different pressures as you go through the season. And you just have to manipulate one game after the other, win that one, let's move forward, put pressure on the opposition. And it's very exciting if you're a Liverpool fan and, if you're in the Liverpool team.
Because 8 games in, as we said earlier on, replacing somebody like Jurgen Klopp, it's great. He won't get carried away, but to look at the league table, look at the goals conceded, what a platform he's got there already.
It's a great platform, and I agree completely. Like, they're big players that know how to play at the top end, know how to win things, and one of the most important things in that sort of schedule will be keeping those players fit, because there are 2 or 3 big players in that team. If you look at Virgil van Dijk or Mo Salah, it would really affect that team, the big players in there. So he needs to balance that, which might mean some rotations and changes and stresses on the squad. We'll see that over the coming weeks.